Rand shot up today, some speculating that that is linked to what you were talking about, some of these delegates being removed by the court judgments, and they are seen as delegates pro Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. And of course, Cyril Ramaphosa is the more favourable candidate as far as business and investors are concerned. Let's get some analysis. Political analyst Piet Croucamp joins me on this side of the studio. What do you think about that? It's only 27 times 2 the provincial leaderships, 14 branches, but is this a big blow to NDZ?
Look, numerically it will make a difference, but I think the big thing is what Peter Ndoro also said, is that one would expect the ANC to manage these affairs and manage these problems as they occur. And if it doesn't happen, if they can't do it, it's because of opportunism and perhaps even because of fraud. And it has happened in 3 provinces where Dlamini Zuma was call it the strong provinces. So it does taint her image a little bit. I don't think necessarily that's the reason why Rand is strengthened, but it does taint her image. But more importantly is that the fact that the courts have to intervene to resolve issues which the ANC should ideally be able to resolve themselves, and they can't. And I think that's bad news for the ANC. It tells us something about where the ANC is. If they can't resolve, they don't have the conflict mechanisms to resolve their own issues anymore.
Yeah, the day before, so many court cases. But don't the numbers actually count? If it goes down to the wire, if we're only a few hundred apart right now, it could land up being 50 or 10. These delegates could make all the difference.
If it's true that they are very close, these delegates will certainly make a big difference. If the rationale that we've applied, I think it's almost irrational for her to be ahead. It's almost irrational for her to be so popular as it is, given a number of factors that we factored in. Then I would think that he is probably ahead by 300 or 400 or 500 votes, and then it doesn't really matter. But there are other factors that can also play a role. As we get closer, as he seems to be the dominant candidate, as there's a narrative on the floor that he might win eventually, you may just get a number of candidates who think about their future, think about their political future, their families, jobs, tenders, employment of the future, and they may jump ship. So there are so many variables that could play a role that we don't know.
This is fascinating because both camps, from what I've heard, are declaring victory. And you think that bravado maybe has a psychological impact. So you're saying it could allow delegates to, they want to be on the winning side. They don't want to be on the losing side.
You still want to have a job. You still want to have status within the ANC after this. And we know from past presidents and past elections, if you're on the losing side, it is other people coming and you are shifted to the wayside. If you take Fikile Mbalula, for instance, he played his final card, his joker. If Dlamini Zuma doesn't win this election, he's without a job in the cabinet. He made his point so strong that it will be intolerable for him to be there while Cyril Ramaphosa is the president. So, and there are more people than just him who are doing exactly the same thing. You
were talking about the court cases, what they mean for the unity and that narrative in the ANC. What about the actual voting process? Because President Zuma had put forward a unity vote, a way where the president starts, and if he doesn't or she doesn't get elected, they can stand for the deputy. Now I think it all happens together. What are the implications?
Yeah, and the program was put together in the Tulia, so it seems like Gwedi Mantashe and the president must have talked about this, and what they tried to do is to get the president elected and then the losing candidate. And I think even Jacob Zuma now expect the losing candidate to be his ex-wife. The losing candidate then get the opportunity to be elected as the deputy president after being nominated from the floor. And that was then squashed by the National Executive Committee. I find it curious that the National Executive Committee made that decision. They say it's for logistical reasons and that they would have still been there after Christmas if they have used that process and procedure that Gwedi Mantashe has dictated as far as the conference proceedings concerned. But the fact is, it's interesting that there was enough support in the National Executive Committee to squash that proposal, which is associated with the president.
So does this mean, very quickly, Cyril Ramaphosa and Lindiwe Sisulu can ostensibly stand together, even though it's the delegates choosing?
It's quite possible, but you must remember that David Mabuza got the most votes for deputy president. Most of the delegates voted for him as the deputy president. So if it comes to that, the argument is, or the question is, will he still make it? And you must remember, both Dlamini Zuma and Ramaphosa couldn't tolerate him on their slates. And now they might get him as a deputy president.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, Piet Croucamp, political analyst. Well, the reasons